I said the greatest danger in life is to not take the adventure. Go for it! I want me to say it, don't you? Golden July!
Hello friends, and welcome back to another vlog. It's a kind of warm day today. It says 7 degrees. There's a bit of blue sky up there, and it's 9:30. Set up a little later than I could have done, but a lot earlier than I need to do for today, as today is the second day of Liverpool Comic Con 2020. I did get a 3-day pass for early entry, but I didn't feel that Friday was necessary for me when they actually released the schedule. But yeah, early entry again today, but the main thing that I want to see, person I want to see, is Melissa Joan Hart. So yes, she has had my heart for more than 20 years, since, wow, Clarissa Explains All, and I'm through Sabrina and many movies, No Good Nick more recently, and I do follow her on Instagram, so I'm very excited to hear what she has to say, see her in person, and then tomorrow get my picture with her. So yeah, it's been about 20 years in the making, and that's happening. But for now, like I said, we are on the road, about an hour and 10 minutes away from the venue. Nice weather, not so much traffic as it's Saturday. However, I imagine because I've come a little later than I could have done, there's going to be a lot of people already parked, people that have been there super early, all the vendors and the other early entry people. So I may have to park further away and walk in, which I'm okay with. I knew that was going to be the plan for today. I have a coat and an umbrella in the boot of my car, or the trunk for you Americans out there. And yeah, I'm ready for it. So I've got everything charged up and extra power banks, all my cables, plugs, and anything you can imagine, I have it. I probably won't even use that much today. Like I say, I just want to watch the one panel with Melissa Joan Hart and hopefully get a little bit of B-roll. So we're just entering the motorway right now, and I shall see you on the flip side.
think you need a microphone, Mr. Blessed. Take your seat. Got a lovely couch and a...
I think you want me to say it, don't you? Golden July! You know, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, signing autographs. I don't know, at my age, I'm more popular than any of these young lads and lasses. There's no end to my talents, you know. I've just completed space training, as you probably know. Actually, my biggest love in life is space. Since a child, with all the worlds we had in those days, in 1953, and all the kind of films on Mars, etc., the Eagle comic, and Flash Gordon, and all that. And so my big love in life is space. And I have just completed, at 83 years of age, my final 900 hours in Space City in Moscow, with Putin watching. And I've done 900 hours with NASA on Reunion Island in the Pacific, wearing Martian prototype suits for Mars, with 11 mountaineers, microbiologists, and geologists. And I'm now on the list to go to Mars. Incidentally, the man who has made the suits to go to Mars, the actual suits, is the man who created Predator, which is fascinating. And he has made, I think they cost 27 million quid each, and so forth. So I am now fully trained cosmonaut and astronaut at 83 years of age. I just feel very passionately that people say to me, isn't it dangerous, Mr. Blessed, you're climbing Mount Everest, or you're going to the North Pole? I said, the greatest danger in life is to not take the adventure. Go for it! Ladies and gentlemen, for your dream. Now, there is no one like you. No one. Nature doesn't cheat. And we've all got something that nobody else has got. You've got to follow your dream. And don't let the bastards grind you down. So, the fascinating thing about, say, Flash and the purity is that when I got to the North Pole, within 20 miles of the magnetic North Pole, the ice is very thin, and a Russian submarine, Typhoon submarine like Red October, came through the ice. And its turret burst through the ice, and this captain got out, and he saw me and went, oh, it's him. Please, say Gordon's alive. So I went, Gordon's alive! Thank you very much, Mr. Blessed. Please. And he invited me on board this Russian Typhoon submarine with my 11 companions. And so, everywhere I go, halfway up Kilimanjaro, you'll meet an Alchaka, Jumbo, oh, it's him, please, say Gordon's alive. I think that Gordon's alive is kind of something I just suddenly said in the film, and then it was on the Queen record. But it's a cry for freedom, isn't it? It makes people happy that we're, it's just that swearing quite shit bollockizing at the moment. Jesus Christ, they're kind of bloody awful things that are going on in the world, but marvelous things are going on. It's not the entire truth. We're going to win out. We need to get in space. We need to let the Earth rest. It's great being here because I love space. That's my biggest love. I'm going to do a big series with Brian Cox, he and I together, and we're going to travel the solar system together in Dan Dare's Anastasia rocket. And we will go to pretend we're going to actually land on these planets and so forth. And because anything to point the way out there. So, over the last few years, the phone would ring, and it was Stephen Hawking, and my wife would, not Kenneth Branagh, or some film star, darling, Stephen Hawking on the phone, and he said, Brian, they want to put me 60 miles in space. What do you think? I said, well, you're going to bloody die anyway. You might as well go up and Brian Blessed says I'm going to happy life. I might as well go. And so, and I address NASA and bollock them. You're too slow. Come on, you've got to solve gamma rays. And of course, the phone will ring, and it's Buzz Aldrin. Buzz Aldrin, of course, being one of the two men to be first man on the moon. And so many people don't believe he was on the moon, or Armstrong. It's bloody idiocy. Like I did all my, Christ almighty, And Buzz said, that the next guy who says that I didn't walk on the moon, I'm going to chin him. I said, have you seen it? The video? A guy came, I think you're a phony. I don't think you ever landed on the moon. Wow, it's a beauty. Let me explain, to clear that up. We did land on the moon and we did walk on it. Get some binoculars. You can see what we left.
That's all we've got time for. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for the incredible Blessed!
Our guest of honor, please welcome David Harbour! Give it up, Liverpool! David Harbour!
Wow! Look at this! You guys ain't afraid of the coronavirus, are you? Yeah! Everybody wash your hands, please. Please wash your hands.
It's good advice.
Apparently, some people have told me that Liverpool is known for their kind people, but that is like very true. And I promise I will not be saying this at Comic Con in New Jersey next week, but don't tell them that.
Thank you so much.
You're so kind, you won't even ask me any questions. You're like, we're just nice people. We have nothing to talk to you about. There's clearly one superpower that is the best superpower. Being invisible at will. Because you can break into banks and just do all kinds of stuff. It's not nice when you feel invisible when it's not your superpower, when you just feel invisible. But if you could be invisible at will, I think that would be the best. I think it just kicks the crap out of flying any day of the week. Or like laser beams out of your eyes or whatever. Invisible at will.
At the end of the series, did you know that you were going to return for season 4?
Has everybody watched season 3? If you haven't watched season 3, close your ears right now. Put your hands over your ears. Yeah, Hopper dies at the end of season 3. But he just sort of dies. I learned this from an 8-year-old girl I know, Ethel. She does these finger air quotes. I do it a lot now. Hopper dies at the end of season 3, and then he's resurrected in season 4. And I did know that he had to make a huge sacrifice. I mean, I think one of the great things about these writers and one of the great things about the show itself is that, it has this sort of earnest morality behind it. And I think that, like, Hopper as a character, I've said this before, I think he had to die in a sense. I mean, he's sort of, he lived his life in a way that was very kind of aggressive and messed up, and he was into drugs and stuff, and he didn't know how to deal with his own emotions and things like that. And so I think he had to shed his skin in a certain way to be able to reemerge. I know that we have a big Elijah Woods here today, which is pretty amazing, from Lord of the Rings. And there is a character that I sort of compare Hopper to in Lord of the Rings, which is Gandalf. Like Gandalf no joke, like Gandalf in the middle of the first movie, like fights an evil and descends into darkness. He's Gandalf the Grey, and he basically dies, and then he's resurrected as Gandalf the White. He comes back in a new form. And I feel like Hopper needed that resurrection as well, because he couldn't continue on the way he was going, and so he needs to come back a different human being with a different perspective. And I think that that's the exciting thing moving into season 4 and whatever might be beyond, is we're going to see you know, the Hopper that we love, but in a different way. He's got a different experience now, and I think that's what's exciting, and what I'm really excited for you guys to see in the next season is like where he goes now, because he's already been so many different places, and now he's going to go in a totally unique direction. So I didn't know about it, and I was excited, and then I even knew that he was going to be resurrected, but I lied to you guys for a year, telling you I didn't know because I didn't want to spoil the surprise. But now I don't have to lie, so that's exciting for me. Look, here's the thing. I have an embarrassment of riches. It's like I work for two of the most incredible production organizations on the planet right now, Marvel and Netflix, right? Working with Marvel was extraordinary. The Black Widow movie, I've seen like 20 minutes of it. I'm gonna go see the movie next week in its full entirety. But it's incredible what I've seen. I'm really excited about that movie, what we shot. I'm really excited about that movie. But I've done Stranger Things for 20, 30 episodes or whatever, and I've worked with them for 5 years, and I know these people like they're my family. And so I just love that show, and I love the shorthand that we have. And so, you know, working with Netflix and working with Stranger Things is like my marriage. Like, it's like, you know, I love them, and also I can get annoyed with them, and I can, like, you know, have it out with them and all that stuff. And it feels like this durable, wonderful relationship. And being with Marvel was kind of like dating a very pretty movie for a couple months.
What an analogy. We love it. We're going to go up here to the left.
The dreaded Demogorgon. In season 1, the dreaded Demogorgon was a guy named Mark. And he was in an outfit, like a rubber suit with stilts. And so mainly what I saw of Mark was he would be leaned over a chair, and the back of his rubber suit would be unzipped, and there'd be guys with fans, and he'd be bent over like this. These guys would be blowing air, and I'd walk by to go get a coffee at craft service on set, and I'd go like, "Hey, Mark," and he'd be like, "Hey." So that's what it was like on a daily basis to face the Demogorgon.
Here, I think you might recognize this gentleman here.
I found the chocolate pudding!
Hello, David.
Hello.
Mrs. Henderson here.
Oh, Dustin, you've clearly been to England.
Yeah, still working on my accent.
Yes.
But,
Pretty good.
I've got a really important question.
Okay.
How does it feel doing a new Stranger Things season without the famous Hopper mustache?
I feel a little naked. It's weird, right? I mean, you know, it's funny though, I get to do all sorts of, like the first season it was kind of just stubbly, a little bit like this, a little bit more. And then the second season was more of a beard. The third season was a mustache, and this season is no hair. So I don't know where you go from here. I'm taking your suggestions. But it has to be new facial hair every season, or I won't do it. I've been accused of doing a lot of dad jokes, because I'm sort of like, you know, dad in Stranger Things, and everyone's accused me. The internet has karmically paid me back for that by doing the dad joke of Hopper went off to Russia and then got brainwashed and became the Red Guardian. And there's a crossover between the MCU and Stranger Things. It's not true. It's a horrible coincidence that I've been cast in a Marvel movie as a Russian, and in Stranger Things I fight Russians. But it is, you know, it's fun to be able to see the other side. You know, the other thing is, does anybody in here speak Russian? Yeah, it's really hard. It's a really hard language to learn. They make all kinds of weird sounds that we don't make in English. It was very fun to play a Russian, but it's definitely easier to play an American. So I prefer playing an American, but playing a Russian was a very interesting experience. Oh, that's a good question. Okay, favorite shows to watch. There are 2 episodes. I think it's the final episode of season 1 and the final episode of season 3. I remember watching the final episode of season 1. I hadn't seen the show before it came out with everybody, and it came out on July 15th in the States, 2016, I think. And I remember I came home from a play and I watched the whole thing, and that final episode, I think maybe I was just so tired, but I forgot that it was me in the show, and I was just watching this guy go through this thing where his daughter had died, and he was searching for this kid, and you know, I was crying watching the show, and I was like, and I said, that poor guy. So I think that, and then when, you know, Eleven and Mike and her sacrificing herself, I think it's so beautiful. One of the things this show does really well, I think, is the self-sacrifice stuff, when characters sacrifice themselves. So in season 3 as well, like when Hopper and Billy both sacrifice themselves to help people, and then that letter at the end of 3 is like, I mean, even me watching the show, I was like, no, he didn't write her a love, oh God. So I think those 2 episodes are really, really beautiful. In terms of shooting the show, I really like the big emotional scenes. I mean, that's sort of like, so I really liked shooting that big scene with Eleven where we get in a fight in season 2. I really liked shooting the sort of makeup scene in the car. I like shooting all the stuff with Winona too. I like shooting all the stuff with Joyce, because I feel like there's so much sort of complexity there between Hopper and Joyce. I really like that stuff. So I like shooting the more like big emotional stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kept acting, and I was worried, and then basically like I went to college, and I came out of college, and I just had to do it. And I think I heard this, I used to hear this a lot from other actors and stuff, and they would say, only go into acting if you absolutely can't do anything else, if you have to do it. And I used to get so mad at those people when they would say that, because I would say like, you should be able to do whatever you want. Like if you want to do it, you don't have to do it. And then now looking back, I agree with them completely. Like I would only go into acting if you have to do it, if you feel like in your soul that you have to do it. Because the amount of rejection that I've received, I mean, you guys sort of meet me at a stage in my life in my 40s when everybody thinks I'm good, and they're like, you're an actor, and like, we like you. And for about 15 years, nobody thought that. And there's been tons of auditions and people telling you you're not handsome enough, you're not a good actor enough, you're boring, you're not funny, you're not interesting, just for years and years and years. And you have to have tenacity and will and belief in yourself beyond what these people see. And then eventually somebody gives you a break. So, you know, I really only do it because I have to, because of the amount of rejection. But it also in that way is very fulfilling, because I don't know that I would be happy doing anything else.